On a summer morning, on a mountaintop in Colorado, the torch is passed. And for the people of North Carolina, a dream is about to come true.
So it's a special experience you're about to have, one that just isn't 2 weeks. If you look at it as 2 weeks, I think you'd be making a mistake. I think you should look at it, first of all, that the eye of the country will turn right here. And it'll turn not only through the eye of the television camera, but through radio and print, and you'll have a very, very key sporting event.
People are beginning to talk about the torch run. I was just talking to the mayor of Fuquay-Varina, Mayor Johnson, and he's already excited about the torch run in Fuquay. Every community in the state is being brought into this festival. So I think it's not just important to Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill, and this region. It's important to the whole state. It's important to the whole country, really.
Started way back in 1980 when a small group of Raleigh residents got together and thought this might be a wonderful project to try to bring to North Carolina, and particularly to the Research Triangle area. And took over 4 years actually to convince the Olympic Committee of that, as it was in the late fall of 1984 before we were given the bid for 1987.
In 1984, U.S. Olympic Committee Secretary General George Miller brought the official bid to Raleigh, where it was signed by Hill Carroll and the chairman of North Carolina Amateur Sports, Dr. Leroy Walker. Secretary Miller set the local organizing committee on a course they would follow for the next 3 years.
I would like to just mention a couple of words that I think are important, and that is what makes the festival a success. And there is no way that your festival will be a success. There is no way that any festival has been a success in the past without the full cooperation of the community.
The community. Those words would be heard again and again in the months leading up to the festival, as the torch was passed by over 4,000 runners in more than 400 cities and towns. Our festival would be the first to involve an entire state. Events were scheduled in Greensboro and Cary, as well as in the major host cities of Raleigh, Chapel Hill, and Durham.
The nice thing about the Sports Festival is that it has given us a chance to take one event that is such a positive thing from all of our perspectives and show us that we have to work together to pull it off, because events are taking place in each of the different communities. And our Parks and Recreation folks have to coordinate with the people in Raleigh and in Chapel Hill and wherever to make it work well. And our transportation people have to coordinate. And even our emergency planning and emergency management folks have to work together. So I think one of the things that's going to be a great heritage for us out of this thing, a real lasting benefit, is that we will have, through this event, learned better how to work together as local governments, and better how to cooperate as we manage this shared urban area.
State government pitched in with the largest single cash contribution, and the Martin administration speeded up the completion of Interstate 40 to Chapel Hill, a big boost to festival traffic flow.
Smile now, this is it. One, two, three. There you go. All right. When I saw that this highway wasn't going to be ready in time for the U.S. Olympic Festival, I said, we're going to make a commitment to speed it up. And I told Hill Carroll we'd make it. He may not have believed me. I don't know. I don't know how things happen like that when you give the word and the command goes out and people start to respond. But they did it. They worked extra hours. People pitched in, and you're going to see a handsome facility all the way back to the Research Triangle Park. Come on, ride with us.
The North Carolina Department of Transportation also planted more than 500,000 flowers along the highways that would serve the festival. Donated by private companies and the Triangle J Council of Governments, the flowers became a colorful symbol of the area's spirit.
Well, I think it's going to be a good thing for North Carolina. It's going to bring a lot of people into the state that might not normally have come and seen the things we have to offer. And I hope to catch some of the events if we're through planting by then.
Years before the torch arrived, North Carolina Amateur Sports had begun raising money. Development Director Beth Briggs and her staff brought in $2.4 million, the largest operating budget in festival history. Most of that money came through the generosity of the state's businesses. The very first corporate contributor was Capital Broadcasting Company in Raleigh.
Companies that prosper and are successful in this area have a real responsibility to participate in the important things that happen in this area. And to me, this represented a real opportunity for this area to shine. Not just Raleigh, but Raleigh and Durham, the Triangle area. This represented a real opportunity for a whole lot of people to get together and do something we could all be proud of. You know, and sort of celebrate how great it is to live here.
In all, more than 200 North Carolina companies of all sizes contributed to the festival. Joining Capital Broadcasting on the list of grand patrons, companies who pledged $200,000 or more, were First Union National Bank, General Telephone of the Southeast, RJR Nabisco, Hewlett-Packard, McDonald's, and Burroughs Welcome Company. The enthusiastic support of these corporate sponsors went far beyond their financial gifts.
I think the corporations in the area were smart enough to pick up on this and to know that if they provided the right environment, they provided the right programs, that we had the largest event ever in the state, something we could take pride in, and something that our people would be involved and get turned on with. And I think that's why the corporations moved forward.
The most significant aspect of corporate support has probably been the thing we just touched on a moment ago, and it's the volunteerism of the people. You know, we can have all of the T-shirts, we can have all of the billboards, and we can have all of the balloons and banners we want, but it's what it meant to the people, you know, our employees and the people in the community, and fundamentally that's what, in my opinion, is the bottom line of corporate support.
When we finish here for about 45 minutes or half an hour, we're going to talk. You're going to know everything there is to know about being a volunteer in housing.
In May, the organizers concentrated on recruiting and training 10,000 volunteers. The festival would depend on them for everything, from taking tickets to operating the computer system to staffing the athletes' dormitories on 5 campuses.
We have wonderful plans, but it won't happen without the volunteers. And the volunteers, especially in participant services, are just the crux of it. They really are. I would say I will have in participant services close to 2,000 volunteers, and in the housing sites and in the food sites. Many of these volunteers have been working with me for 6, 7, 8 months.
And then after you take them down there, and you take them to the Amira Court registration area and the athlete hospitality rooms, and can you just show them one? Is there any rooms?
We have a double and a single down there.
Edens will go down there, and she will take you through, and then she's going to walk you the way the athletes will be walking.
With the festival still more than a month away, the volunteers were already giving up their time.
That I don't really feel a great concern for how well the basketball will go, how well the swimming will go, the track and field. What I do have a real concern for is that no festival has ever succeeded without the support of volunteers. And so if you look to your left and to your right, you will see an individual without whose support we would have to close up shop.
But if it were not for volunteers, there could be no festivals. I don't care how good your staff is. The actual operation of the festival, all of the planning and all of the groundwork and all of the basic structure, obviously is done by staff and some volunteers even with that staff. But the operation of the festival itself, with these 34 events in 5 different communities, as the volunteers go, so goes the festival.
I was surprised at the turnout that we had today because I figured there might be about 1,000 people, and I waited in line about 45 minutes just to find out that some of the events had been closed out that I wanted to get involved in. So I think that it's just a very good show of support on behalf of North Carolina. We've talked to a number of people that have come from all over the state to get involved, so very pleased, and I know it's going to be a successful event.
The first sign-up day in Chapel Hill brought in nearly 4,000 volunteers. Many of them registered to work every one of the festival's 13 days.
Well, I'm not the type that volunteers a lot, but when I do something, I want to do as much as I can, and I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be something that is worth doing. Seeing these athletes, just seeing these people, seeing the community respond, I think it's going to be very worth the time.
In the weeks leading up to the festival, many volunteers were helping out at the North Carolina Amateur Sports offices, where there was a great deal of work to be done.
This is Tracy Butler from the U.S. Olympic Festival. I was calling to remind them of our press conference we'll be holding this Wednesday.
As the time grew short, most of the staff and many volunteers were putting in 12 and 16-hour days.
I think the experience has been one of unbelievable intensity as an individual trying to do a job. I've been in positions before where I felt like I put in a lot of hours, and I really did. I've never had a job where a work week was 8 to 5 or Monday through Friday. I'm just not familiar with that kind of thing. But despite having dealt with those kind of jobs before, I've never had one like this that was so intense. It seems like everything has to be done right now, and there's so many things to be done, and you know you don't have another chance. I mean, if I botch up something in college in this football season, I got next football season to get ready for. I don't have another Olympic festival.
In one corner of the busy office, Anne Franklin and her staff were laying plans for the opening ceremonies. Friday night's program in Carter Finley Stadium would be the largest single event of the entire festival.
Well, it is big. We will have about 2,000 performers and about 1,000 volunteers who will participate actually on the day of opening ceremonies, and there'll be another several hundred to add to that who will work getting it set up before the show begins and then taking it back out again, getting it shipped off. But on top of that, we have attracted North Carolinians to work on this project. So yes, the production team is almost all North Carolinians. There are some exceptions in people who are out of the state, but they grew up in the state. And in fact, they're real excited to be back working on a project. So everybody's coming home for this. It's going to be a lot of fun.